Okay, well, I'm a social worker and I've been working mainly in psychiatry for the last 20 years, mainly in aged psychiatry actually. So there was the cross between the aged and the psychiatry for many years in a community team. And I got very involved, I guess, in about 2006 in the whole aspect of spirituality and how I could intersect spirituality and mental health in my practice. Went to a conference in Hong Kong about mental health, social work and spirituality, and then commenced a postgrad degree in theology, which I just found very interesting, and the whole aspect of the spirituality sort of came through. Then I ceased working in psychiatry for many reasons in the public health system, and spent a few months wondering what to do. Found that I'd heard about palliative care, heard about Eastern Palliative Care where I work now, and had a few discussions with a nurse who I knew worked there, and she said how great it was to work in the area of palliative care. And then as it happened, a position came available. I applied for it and I was successful, and that was about 2 years ago. It's just been a wonderful journey getting involved in palliative care and working in people's homes, just the privilege of working in people's homes and them allowing us to be there to work with them and their families. It's just been really fantastic. Well, I guess it starts at assessment. In our service, everybody who is on our program has the opportunity to have a family support worker. So we go in and we see the person, I guess, in the model of care, I guess, is the biopsychosocial spiritual, which I'm sure other people will talk about. So our assessment is all about seeing the person within the context of their illness, where the illness has brought them to, and how it's affected them psychologically and spiritually, but also socially in many areas, say their financial situations, having to think about their legal implications with advanced care planning. That's a very big thing at the moment. Really talking to them about needing that safety net of powers of attorney to help them to just in case. And then the psychological and the social support of the family as well. It's really important for the carer to be supported. The carer burden can be intense if they have to be they're working and looking after children, for instance, and looking after their loved one who's becoming more and more frail and more needy. So supporting them to advocate for them, say with Centrelink or with the schools or with their place of employment, or just with counselling. And we do the one-on-one counselling, sometimes a bit of couple work, because really roles change. People find that very, very stressful, or they just don't know what's happening. So sitting down and talking to a couple about where they're at is really important. And then of course families, talking with them. What we try to do also is, because our service has massage therapists, music therapists and art therapists, is linking especially children up with the music and the art as a means for them to help cope with their mum or dad being ill, and also in bereavement, helping them grieve. We also, as a family support worker, do bereavement for 13 months after a loved one dies. So there is bereavement support comes in one-on-one counselling if people need it. Not many people take that up. It's not needed, but for the people who do need it, it's very important. And we also have ceremony of remembrance once a year. And we have two groups that we run, two support groups. One is a walking through grief, where people walk the talk once a month, or talking through grief, which I'm one of the facilitators, and we sit around in a circle for 2 hours, and it's led by the group, and yeah, the important things that they find of interest and pertinent at the time is what we discuss, and we, the family support workers, are just there to facilitate the group dynamics. Other professionals, what I really think is important for them to know and to understand is how the illness doesn't just affect the person. that there's the real ripple effect that, of course, it affects them, their self-esteem, the pain, loss of dignity, loss of the fear of all of those things, but it also affects their relationships, how they interact with other people, their family members, and it affects the families in so many different ways. And that each individual family will, depending on their psychosocial backgrounds, their education, their cultural and religious beliefs, it's really important to see the person within the context of the family, within the context of their cultural background. Yeah, I think that's really important. Yeah, CareSearch definitely has resources to support me as a clinician, as a family support worker, but also, of course, the individuals themselves and their families. It'll be a great resource to. It is a great resource to refer clients to who are interested in knowing some more strategies on how to cope as a family, where possible diagnosis, prognosis, and how it affects them. For me individually, I love research and I love reading up on what the latest, what is the latest on how to intervene on a psychosocial level, counselling tips, what the latest research is on bereavement, or working with death and dying on a spiritual level, on a psychological level, and social aspects. Yeah, I guess expanding on looking at the person as in their family and then in their cultural background, I just think it's really important that health professionals are aware of people's cultural backgrounds and religious backgrounds and how that intersects with death and dying, and how important it is to understand whether, if a person is talking to them and maybe don't want to talk, and how important that is to know that within a cultural context. And I guess the other important intersection with palliative care is that I have an interest in is the mental health of people. That people come to palliative care potentially with already a diagnosed illness such as schizophrenia or a personality disorder, and how that is going to really affect how we treat people and our interventions. We have to work out accordingly. And I guess, of course, there's depression and anxiety that often is a symptom of having a incurable illness and being on a palliative care program, and just being aware of that as well.